Hi, my name is Paul Brighton, aka Sifu Boggie, to The Way of Mindfulness, a show about mind, body, and spirit, a mixture of spirituality and science. Each week we have either a different subject or, like this week, a different guest, and we explore, we look into their way, their Tao, their balance. So, to help me on that quest, I have two ever so trusty co's. So I have Ethan, aka Q.
Hi.
I have the great mighty Chris, aka the Questioner.
Hello.
And of course, there's myself. Now, this week, as I said, each week we have a different guest. And this week is a very good brother of mine, a very dear friend, a very old clan member of my soul clan. And his name is Russ Anderson. So, dear brother, welcome and thank you for coming to the show. And so, quite simply, my first question is, so Russ, way, what is your Tao? Easy question.
Yeah, the best way I can explain it is I have no idea. So all I can tell you is that I'm on a particular path, and it's very individual to me, but then it's also very, very quite, it has enough details in it that if you pick up a book, the correct book, or you pick up the right type of information, it always tells me that I'm on course. So if that makes any sense, how I'm relating that to you, I think when we hear the word way, and I'm gonna kind of teach, and I'm gonna get in my little state as I do what I do. But I was hearing a minute ago about the way, and in the process, it's kind of like when you're on your path and you're looking for the way. It's like when you're picking up the information, your path, your way is being shown to you all the time. It's just you having to trust your particular experience that belongs to you, and not get too overwhelmed with the way, because what we're trying to get into in this paradigm is to get out of the commercial version of the way, because there's a lot of people that start cultivating their energy bodies, and they start having an interest of being involved in this experience of energy medicine, qigong, or finding their Christ consciousness, and they start picking up a lot of books and gaining a lot of information, which actually has a lot of inspiration to it, but actually provides probably a limited amount of holding your growth back, and then not really providing that much stability, because you're always in question more and more and more. And sometimes your mind will allow you at the very beginning process to keep searching and searching, because the chapter 4 or 13th books you read has told you this is the way, okay? And maybe you're thinking, your path and all the things that have took place with you, you're always doubting, or you're searching, or you're looking for the next step. So sometimes we limit ourselves of becoming our own guide or our own inner guru, because we're either in a rush or we're impatient, or we haven't built up the actual, what they call the ox or the mind correctly, or the quintessence of the state of discipline and devotion and intention to develop a kind of a peaceful state enough and slow enough to where we can find the way. Does that sound a little bit intense, but does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yes, it does.
Okay. So what I share with you is that I believe what we're all trying to accomplish, and I think it's coming more and more, like myself, people like myself, and you guys out there searching, I think we're going to, I think the planet and the shifting and all these things that we can talk about, full moons and everything that's going on, this new awakening is taking process. I think people like myself, I call myself kind of like the truck driver. I just went out there and drove the truck and drove the truck and drove the truck. It wasn't pretty. I'm a white guy. I'm wearing a Chinese outfit, I went through the beginning process of looking for classes and wondering and struggling and having this spiritual awakening that I couldn't define, and being a little bit of a difficult person to be pleased. I couldn't find the teachers or the process that really was relevant to my experience, or have somebody that could execute the wisdom that could actually shift me on a level of telling me that I'm on my correct path. So all these types of variables that take place in people's lives and my process, I've learned a lot as far as, being lucky enough to sit back and do the very, very basics of cultivation, which was a form of Chinese medicine that I highly respect. And I actually did a few things with the journaling and the basic process of Qigong and some things that you can cultivate that are very, very free and don't take up any time, but it requires faith and devotion or a real huge process sitting in front of you to when you're going through this journey, you're having so many of these synchronicities or you're having these dreams or you're having something that's a tragedy in your life that you have nothing else around you to distract you, but only one thing is your soul. Okay, and when your soul ignites and you're not distracted by the outside world and you're really focusing on the internal side of you and trying to develop the heart or the love or the healing that's necessary because of whatever's empty inside you, which is a plus, then these things come to you probably in a slower fashion because you have nothing left to speed up with. And when you don't have nothing left to speed up with, that's the blessing that comes in, but that's also the very deep hole and a process of cultivation that's called a lot of timing and a lot of discipline as far as really realizing that you can't move fast, you have to go slow. And I think that's the biggest gift that once people start to learn that, or teachers like myself getting involved and working to their craft to a level that people want to come and train or be taught, these are the things that I teach in my class today. And even when I have a class, I hear the word master. Even my first Chinese master, I have two teachers. One of them was a master that I met that I really respected after about 2.5 years of searching for this journey that I highly respected. Cambridge University, Dragon Gauge. And he didn't teach me anything. He just sat there, listened to me for an hour, charged me $100, told me to do basic Qigong. If I got a little bit out of hand or a little bit out, not grounded or acted like a little girl, as they call it, he'd slap me, put me back to center and say, yeah, you're doing the right thing, keep going. But there wasn't any heavy teaching. There wasn't any, stand up, grab this crystal and do a backflip and you're going to see ghosts or you're going to have yin eyes or whatever. It was just basically being a babysitter. And he was just a lighthouse that just sat there, and I realized he was the real deal. And I really look forward to accomplishing what he did. And I just trusted him because I respected him and trusted him. And I just kind of kept on going with my process, saying, I'm with the right guy. I don't know what's going to happen, but just keep going. And so I was very fortunate, but there's no fortunate involved. It's just part of my, my DNA being awakened up, if you want to call it, or many lifetimes as a healer. We could go into all that kind of stuff, and I could sound really cool with you, but I'm not going to go there. I want to keep it current, because when you're dealing with the public and you're teaching people, I could tell you who I was in my past life. It's not going to matter. It doesn't matter. What we have to do is we have to affect people, what's going on in their lives currently. If you can't execute or demonstrate anything right in front of them and give them information that's pertinent to what's going on in their life today, okay, you're not shifting anybody. You're just building stories, and you're creating this excitement that they're special, and they got these, they were George Washington in their lifetime, or they were Archangel Michael's above them, and they're all floating. Everybody starts building these levels of excitement, but they really can't use it. They hope it's real. They use it for a form of inspiration, but it kind of gets you a little bit off track. So as a teacher, I tell my students, I'm not a master, as my Chinese master says I now am. No, I learned way too much. If I call myself a master, I get a little bit intimidated by that, because your power comes from being humble. And if you call yourself a master, you're kind of limiting your soul by saying, I think I've learned enough. And
Russ.
I have not learned anything. That it's infinite as far as what you can learn. And so mastery, I maybe they need that for the civilian mode. Maybe you need that title for a book. Maybe people believe that, or the general public that's looking for a teacher wants that title, and you have to establish that for the commercial version. But if you guys know as well as I know, when you're doing this work at the level of service, and you definitely become connected with your lineage or your universal divine servant, and I can't get into the lineage. I probably jumped ahead on that, but let's just say when your commitment level gets to a level of where you're really starting to progress and people are coming to you, for any type of healing or service work, there's a level of you'll always be taken care of. And so it doesn't really matter what your title is, what your video you have, how it's going to happen. There's going to be a particular energy that will open up, and it'll come to you all through the right timing, and you will be taken care of, because there's nothing more important at this particular time. And so getting back to that level, it doesn't matter about the labels, but that kind of shares with you how the general public, and how sometimes, you know, YouTube and conscious awakenings and all these things that are happening, we have to go through that gamut. It's all perfect, very, very perfect. So I'm not trying to critique it or criticize it, just sharing that there's these so many different, there's 4 or 5 different levels. And so as I'm sharing and talking with you guys right now, I'm trying to stop myself and going, okay, this is 4th and 5th level material, and this isn't bragging rights. I'm just telling you, this is 4th and 5th level material, and I'm getting guided like, no, that wasn't really correct. You need to save that for another time between maybe us privately, but that doesn't need to be shared. That's not going to relate to a lot of people, or it's going to draw a lot of questions for people to say, what's he mean by lineage? And then it goes off to another subject matter, and now I've blown everybody off track, and they're looking for the lineage name, and that wasn't fair to them because it's not their time. So I'm kind of showing you guys here as we're talking, there's a responsibility for everything what we do. And there's different levels, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different levels as we work. And if you're in the 4th and 5th level, you're probably not going to be out in the general public too much. You're probably not going to write a book because you don't have time. You're too busy working, okay? And when you're working, you just become more and more humble, or you become so busy you're not out there doing what you need to do, and it's not important. Or you're in the 3rd level where you're out there making the book and you're reaching a lot of audiences, and you're bringing all kinds of shifts for a mass amount of population that's truly necessary for this time, and that's perfect. That's totally perfect. Or you're at the 2 level, or you're at the 1 level. So what I'm trying to share with much compassion and reducing any type of ego in this conversation, just sharing that there's all just different processes. So I understand that the work I do is at the 4th and 5th level, and so it's really rough for me to throw interviews out and talk. And I share this insecurity with you on this session here, because, you know, I'm always constantly gauging and trying to be cautious to do all the correct things. And not everybody's going to understand it. And I'll beat myself up a few times because I'm trying to gauge and counteract balance to give the right things that are necessary and give everybody the things that they need. I want to help everybody at all different levels. But sometimes it's a little bit difficult for me to put it on a public display more than privately with you guys. You know, I can get a little bit more out there with you guys and talk, and you guys can get what you need, and I'm not putting too much, not distracting you too much off your path. Does that resonate? Does that make sense, what I'm sharing with you guys?
Yeah, absolutely. It's like the difference between getting a leg up. To me, it's like the difference between someone offering you a leg up and someone doing the work for you. If that kind of makes sense. Like you opening your door and you can look through the door, you have to make the decision to walk through the door instead of someone coming up behind you and trying to shove you through a door that you're not necessarily ready to go through, fit through, or any of that stuff. That's kind of how I interpret it.
Absolutely.
Have you ever seen one of... Go on, brother.
Well, I just say, like when I teach my students now, it took me a long time to develop some students, not because I didn't have any interest. The fact is, I just wasn't never satisfied to the level for me to say I'm about to take on students, because there's a certain level that I believe that I needed to be, and I wasn't in a rush for it because I understood the responsibility. But I tell my students now, you know, don't call me master. You know, I'm a teacher, and I says, I don't know what I'm going to do. The only thing I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you guys what not to do or what you can do. Okay, and so that's the greatest teacher. And I said, you guys will watch me shift every month when you come to my class. And then I'm executing in the classroom with this wisdom and teaching. So they're actually getting shifted by watching me display and actually do what I do. And they're seeing it real time. And so they're really growing. But then they also get to see me having to make mistakes, or I don't have everything all figured out and I'm just going on the cuff, and they watch the growth and they watch everything. So there's a lot of cool things just being this cool kind of like, here's where I'm at, just watch me make mistakes, watch how it flies. And 99% of the times it's always perfect. It works out great. And I'm being a little rough when I say mistakes, but just sharing with you, you know, the level of mastery is just, I just don't know how you can get there and how you can call it that. It's just too infinite to say you got it, you know?
It
True
seems like
Sifu.
Go for it, Boggie.
Thank you. A true Sifu learns while he's teaching. You know,
Mhm.
a true Sifu is always learning. That's the point. And so, yeah, that's, you know, and also you have to enjoy it. It's the fun for you. And with the that thing of maybe you saying about information, about trying to judge the information, I'd say it in a way that I translate it to my students. But have you ever seen the game shows where they put you into a dome and there's all these? You have to collect these silver bits of paper or a coloured bit of paper, and they fire the air up, and all these bits of paper fly all around, and you have to try to grab as much as you can. So imagine all those thousands of bits of paper, and the truth is, you get what you get. I can teach somebody the same thing, and I can guarantee each one will learn it in a slightly different way, will pick up a slightly different thing. And just like, you know, I love classes, but I also love one-to-ones, because with one-to-ones, you can adapt that information purely for that person. When you do it as a class, as you know, as you were saying, brother, you know, you have to try to, you know, you have to try to get that information at a level that everybody's going to get something. But Sifu taught me. He used a different. Poe used he used rose petals. Sorry, cherry blossoms. He said the cherry blossoms from the tree fall down over you. You can only grab so many. So, you know, the information is infinite, but how much you can grab is whatever you can grab at the time. Whatever. That's the point.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, it's
Throw in about master here. For me, the concept of master to me is a concept of completion and totality, which to me equates to an ego concept of at some point it will be done. Like at some point I can put this in a nice little box and put it on a shelf, which is impossible to do because everything is forever in a state of flux and forever in a state of change. So to me, it just seems like one of those ego constructs that it's like good enough. You know, it's the same as being good enough at something. You know, is there ever good enough?
Yeah, it's a never-ending conversation. We could construct this thing down to we could never finish the ending of this, of how that truly works. That's probably the most exciting. That's probably the most exciting thing that I enjoy about my work, because, you know, I'm working. Here's my house. This is my healing room, and I step out and I could go right into my studio out here. And so I've worked with 4 or 5 clients. I've been connected, and I'm juiced up. You know, so I'm doing my mediumship. So I'm giving them a reading and sitting them on the couch and doing the reading and their mediumship, and we're going through the execution of working down what's going through their field and what's happening in their life. And then I put them on the table, we connect. And so all this stuff transpires, and you got 3 or 4 people you worked on all day, and then you walk right into a garage with students, and you've already had a profound day, because everything and every person that comes to you, it's a new story, it's a new event, it's a new teaching tool, it's a new experience, and you're growing. So there's a lot of things that you're very passionate about. Plus, sometimes you're not so grounded because you're in this thing nonstop, and then you walk right out. So there's a lot of discipline to the ground, but you have a lot of experiences. So I've learned, and I share this with other teachers out there and students, I've learned a really good, valuable tool of, you know, wow, I really got to make sure I spend time grounding myself and checking in, and making sure that I'm not carrying anything into the garage that is a story or event that they're not ready to hear. And sometimes they'll be excited and ask me a question or want to come in here and have a session. And so just been really, really interesting to watch the process. I'm excited about it, but I'm hard on myself too, because I really want to make sure I do everything correctly. And that's probably why the gifts come if you care. That's the best way. The gifts will come if you care, because it is a responsibility. Power is based, you know, really based on amount of the devotion and where your heart is set. It really is. It's the form of love. It's not by just keep on doing the work. And so, yeah, I could go on. It's just a really interesting time for me and for what's going on for people and what's going on around me. Yeah. The general world. That's another subject. Can you hear me?
I can
Just
Okay.
about yeah.
Yeah, Chris, did you have any questions?
Oh, I know we're going to jump a little bit off topic, but I know in the past and from your Facebook feed that you talk a lot about keeping a diary, and I'm really interested in that and what we should be keeping in a diary and in a daily diary.
Yeah, well, the diary or the journal is called path cutting or marking and tracing. It's just a general way of we call it the ox or the mind. If you're on any type of spiritual, most of the time this is a really great question, because this is the most important thing I think is number one out of anything. If you're not disciplined enough to write down your day, then you don't care enough to hear what's being told to you. Okay? Think about that. The journal is writing down what your day is and what's happening emotionally when you wake up, if you have dreams, if you don't have dreams, going to work, or what you're hoping for, or what your intentions are, or your prayers, what happened to you. And you're just writing out your daily events of what's taking place in your life, because right now your lower self, your personality, is all below your chest. Okay? So your desires or your 10 gross senses are sitting there communicating to you, depending on the burger and the crap you ate, or the problem, the trauma that your daddy did to you, or your mommy, or whatever. And you're hearing all these things about you're not worthy, or it's not going to happen, or you can't do this full time, you got to go to work, and you're never going to happen, you're not going to have a girlfriend. So all these things that we're responding to create these emotional realities, okay, of our senses. So our mind's picking up all these thoughts, and usually for multiple years we all respond to our thoughts. And it really, what the cool thing is that those thoughts and those things that are happening to us really form our reality. So now we're really having a struggle to figure out, well, everything that's happening to me, when I think about it, it shows up. And so how am I going to get out of it? It's real. Well, that's your mind. And that's your personality of your desire channel, I call it. It's the one that's below your heart. So when you're journaling, what you're trying to do is you're kind of going backwards. You're writing out your journal. You're writing out your day. And when you start to have your spiritual experience, I tell my students to pick out two symbols. Two symbols. One symbol being, oh my gosh moment, or aha moment, or you're like, you want to tell your friends and call, I had a miracle happen to me, or there's everybody has their miracle. Some people totally get off seeing 1111 or 444. I have to say sorry for that one. But some people get excited about the clock going off, or the phone rings when they're thinking about it, or they're thinking about their friend and the friend calls immediately. Anything that really inspires you, that you feel is kind of significant, or having communication or guided information that's unusual, you put your first symbol. So I take my symbols and I put an angel mark near my symbol. And then the second symbol is just a spiral. It might be something important. This sounds like it could be something. And I put a spiral next to what I write during the day. So eventually, if I'm having a lot of aha moments or kind of coincidences happening, I can look back in my journal and see these symbols I put in there, and I color them in, and then I can see these patterns on my pages start to form. And then about 6 weeks or 8 weeks, when all my friends and family tell me I'm drinking the Kool-Aid, or nothing's happening in my life, or I'm not that special, or nothing's really happening in my life, and the Qigong's not working and the breathing's not working, I can go back over a period of time and I can look at those symbols, and those symbols will show me that there's actually a lot more traffic taking place than I thought. And so what it does, it starts to clear the ox or the mind out of the way of saying, you know what, I'm very, very blessed. And wow, I forgot about that. I forgot about that. And I forgot about that. So it builds up, a connection with your soul, realize that you are being taken care of, and that your intentions and what you're wanting to create is actually manifesting. And the thing about manifesting is that I call it divine madness. It means that we have one logical way that we think when we say a prayer or we wish for something to happen, that our mind comes in and says, yeah, you said the prayer, it should be here in a couple weeks. Divine madness is you cannot put any type of divine timing to anything. Your divine timing has no logic. It's way too sophisticated for you to even manage it, okay? So the only way that you can handle that level of divine madness is just get into the teacher mode to realize I submit. And now the only thing I can do is understand and trust it with the faith and intention and devotion that I've already created for myself to let it go. And that's how that manifests for you, because you never figure out divine timing. You just know it's going to show up, and you're not going to allow your lower personality to dominate your day. So when you're doing your journaling, you're just building up a process of reducing your mind and getting into a tracking mode of telling your guides, your angels, your soul, I'm paying attention to the details. I'm creating great habits. You're healing yourself with the pen on paper from the left hand or the right-handed pen if you're left or right-handed. So all this information is vibrationally going on the paper, and you're putting your intentions, devotion, and your pain and your fear and all that out there. You get to see the growth factor taking place. You get to see the energetic healing that's taking place. And it's a process of breaking down your personality and your desires. So as you grow energetically, as your channels develop and your desires start to diminish, then you start getting into the channels of the opening up of the microcosmic circuits, the anakarana, blah, blah, blah. And then you get into just introduce some other stuff I could share, but we won't go there today. But you get into these processes of development, and eventually your desires, as your desires are just your animal body. So your animal behavior. So when you see animals in your dream, or you see tiger and fish or bears and all that kind of stuff, they can be totem animals as far as what follows around, or a signature energy of your personality, but they usually represent what's going on energetically as far as growth. What's happening in your transformation is if you're developing and cultivating your chi, you'll start to see a smaller animal or a larger animal. And these are just telling you what's coming and what's happening. Because as you develop your cultivation, then your dream states will change, and the liver and the chi and the hun and the po go in another subject matter, but it starts to go into a sequence for you. And this journal, at the time, you will not get it all, and you will not understand how it breaks down on an energetic level or a teaching level. But once you accomplish the things that we talked about, microcosmic circuit, anakarana, and other channels, you'll start to see where you were carrying your baby bottle and diapers and you thought you were something, and you'll get to see at the very beginning where you were, and then you get to watch it move through it. And then when you get to the level where you're at, that you really truly understand it, then you can go back and see the energetic process and transformation by category in books, or what the gurus tell you. You can see exactly the dates. And as you're watching these dates, you'll actually realize that some of your huge transformational channels were usually on full moon, the grand cross. It'll always be a celestial yourself that it was a coincidence, okay? And so these are all the appreciation factors in discipline that's kind of necessary for you to stay on track. Does that answer your question, or did I go too far?
No, I think you stayed on topic really well. It certainly was a complete answer. One thing that sort of came to me while you were discussing that is you keep referring back to the ox of the mind, and I'm really intrigued by that term. Could you explain a bit more about that, please?
Yeah. Well, first of all, you know what the complete answer means, right? You know what that definition of a complete answer means?
No.
It's called experience. It's called experience. And it's called. So if somebody can't give you a complete answer, they probably don't have the experience. That is very good. I like that.
Okay,
so that's just something.
I know that is the difference between truth and faith. That's how I've always heard it described. The difference between truth and faith. You have faith that it sucks to lose your wallet, and then you lose your wallet, and you understand the truth of how much it sucks to lose your wallet.
Yeah, yeah. So it's I'm just laughing because when you're saying that, I got kicked back. You know, I just heard talk about the complete answer is called experience. So, but to answer your question about the mind or the ox is. To guide and direct chi, or once you get your channels opened up, there's a microcosmic circuit. I'm not going to get too detailed for a general public, but there's some circuitry. If you look at it, you'll understand it. But with the development of healing work, some people work with their hands and do Reiki and create symbols. Then there's other levels of when you're opening up your channels. And the ox represents the mind. So just think about the ox sitting out there in the field. Usually it has a ring in its nose and it's got a rope attached to it. And what's happening is that ox is dragging you all over their mat, okay? And that's your mind. Your mind's controlling you. It's kicking your butt. It's telling you ain't worthy. It's the one it's the one running the show, okay? As you learn how to cultivate the energy centers and doing your qigong and you're writing your journal and you're doing your breath work, you're doing your meditation, what's really taking place is you're just getting closer and closer to developing the relationship with the ox, not getting yourself beat up or ran over by your friend. So you're trying to get closer to the ox and take the rope off him and take the ring out of his nose and have him follow you wherever you go. And so what they're sharing is you're just trying to develop the state of mind, which is called quintessence, I believe, the state of neutral thought, no thought at all, okay? And when the no thought of all comes in, you'll find that when you turn your back and walk away, the ox starts to follow you, and he's not controlling you. And when that takes place, there's a level of development to where you can call guide and stack images and hold images in your head, and the pineal gland will pick up an image and hold it on the wall for you or on somebody's body at a longer period of time. So I can look at an image with my third eye and look at it, or I can create an image in my head at such a deep intention because my mind's not telling me about grocery shopping or my problem with my wife or I got to pay the bill or what's going to happen. Nothing's in my way, okay? My heart's calm, my channel, my virtues, my 5 organs are relaxed, my chi channels are opened up, my state of mind's calm. And so what I do is I'll create an image or grab the dragon hand or tiger hand, intention and emotion. These 2 hands here, and I put the intention and a very strong emotion with the quietness of the mind, and then I can grab and direct heaven or earth chi, and I can expand it. I can breathe into it. I can push it into the tissues, and it allows you the levels of ability. So the mind just is the ability to, the ox is to control the ox, control the mind, because the mind is where everything guides the chi. And then it goes on to way different levels of how different channels open up, you know, from micro to anakarana and different connections and different dimensions. Because the spine, and I'm going to go a little far, the spine, we have the 5 desires, okay? So you have the physical, the emotional desires, the sexual desires, the enough desires. Do I have enough desires, right? And then there's another desire called space, okay? No one knows about the space, and that's the dimension change. So once you start to control the personality and the desires, when you get those calm, there's another channel that opens up that I won't get into, but there's another channel that opens up another dimension. And that's where you start going into deeper and deeper work. And when you get into those different dimensions, then different abilities will come to you when you're, depending on what kind of work you're doing. I'm a healer, so my main respect is medical Qigong or Chinese medicine. It's kind of more of a, it's kind of like Reiki or Reiki on steroids. It's a little bit different, and it's kind of not something that everybody knows about, but it's something I most respect, and I've met very, very valuable teachers. One of them is Dr. Jerry Allen Johnson, total stud. All his teachers as well, very, very talented. They're all Daoist priests and medical doctors. He's probably one of the biggest guys in the world, in the United States, I believe, that has the most credibility as far as I'm concerned. But I never was able to go to the medical Qigong school. I just did my work here over and over and over and over. And then I was fortunate enough to be invited or go to one of his 2-week classes and sit in the room and then learn what I've learned and go there and find out everything I'm doing was right. I'm right on track, and I just got verification. So I really accelerated from that 2-week process with them and get to see things at a whole different level. And I know I'm going off track, but as it comes in, it comes in. So bear with me, guys.
That's cool. That's cool. Has anyone got anything they want to throw in?
I want to throw out that this is something that I've been dealing with a lot in my life lately, is this concept of the track, of where my mind thinks the track should go and where the track's actually going to go, and how often they don't coincide. and the re-realization is something that I think is really amazing in my life, and I believe other people experience it too, is when you rediscover information. Like you have the understanding of something, but you reach a deeper understanding of it. Like you become more conscious of a concept. You reach a more full understanding of the concept. So just that concept of relearning things that we already know, it just came up for me about that, about how much we struggle to have a theory and bring the theory into existence when divine right action is happening at all times, and we just have to sit back and let it happen and do our 50% of the work. I'm a big fan of spider medicine, where the spider does his 50% of the work. He finds the flow of energy, he does his half, he builds his web, and then he has faith and trusts the universe, Tao, spirit, whatever you want to call it, to bring him what it needs for its survival.
Sure. Well, your energetic side of you is very creative. Okay, So you're a creative guy. So you're going to have to get to the fact to understand that through your creativeness and what you like to do and have fun, right? You're constantly looking for new ideas. So for you to get centered and say, oh yeah, I'm just going to focus on this and go deep. No, you got too much stuff coming in about what you want to build or what you want to create and what you want to do. So everything excites you. And if everything excites you, and what it is that you can't master anything, you're excited about all kinds of shit that's coming in for you. And so you're all over the map, and this is your way of your soul enjoying what you do. And so you just have to come to that conclusion that, you know what, I like to do 100 things at 100 times, and I'm not going to get into an 8-foot pole. It's only going to go 2 feet, and I'm going to look for the next thing. And but during that process, you've already reached 100 people, and they've really enjoyed whatever you created. Now you've already left the scene, and you're on to something else, but you still affected those 50 people. Okay, so that's okay. You just have to come to the conclusion that's you.
Totally.
And you're okay with that. And you can get off listening to people talking. Okay, I apologize for that one, but you can get excited and enjoy a mastery level of watching somebody go deep because you have the mind quick enough to understand it, and you have the mind to appreciate it. But you don't have the mind to be distant enough to hang on to that momentum long enough to go 8 feet. But you still enjoy it. So just don't think that belongs to you. 8-foot guy, and you love to hear the 8-foot story, but you're moving on. And you don't care, and you don't have to worry about how many people get it. Just realize that's your soul, Jill, and start staying on what you want to do for the 8-feet guys and be the 2 feet. Because the 8-feet guys understand, and I get you. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Grasshopper has spoken.
I find that's so true and poignant. I find that the more I get in the flow with how I work, like I'm sitting surrounded by half-finished projects, because I'll take one project and I'll work on it until I get bored with it, and then I'll move on to another project, and then I'll move on to another project, and then I'll move on to another project. But I'll make it back to the first project eventually. I mean, this flag that you see behind me took me 50 hours to make. It took me 1.5 years to make. I got it done.
As I tell my people that come see me, you don't have to convince me. I just told you who you were. So I got it.
Well done, Russ. I love it. I love it.
I'm just telling you the truth, man. That's all it is. Truth will set you free, right, baby?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So you just love yourself and have fun that you have 100 projects in your house, and you've got the mindset to go, make them scattered, and just enjoy really, truly loving the fact that you're all over the map. And the people that, if you realize right now you're looking at 3 individuals on screen with you, and you're here for a reason, that they enjoy you and respect you at the level that you are. Paul introduces you as a madman right off the bat. So what he's doing is he's preparing the audience prior to you getting on stage to let him know that he understands the mastery of it. And he's a master. He's aware that you're going to be going on that, and he's also preparing the audience to introduce you at a loving state to let they know what to expect way ahead of time, so you don't have to worry about it. And that's love and respect for you.
Absolutely, I absolutely agree.
And it's all about understanding the yin and the yang. Even with me and Russ, there's a yin and yang between us. Russ is the and I'm the wild crazy one, but there were times where I'll quiet down to let him be the yang, and it's the same with the show, and the same with you, Ethan. Is that I know the yin and yang. I understand the principles of Tai Chi, and so to quiet down and set it up, and for you, and vice versa, and that's why it works. That's why this show is so cool as it is, because we work under those principles. Everybody slots in.
Oh, you only act mad because you have so much education, so much knowledge. You don't get to use it all the time. So you get so built up with frustration, you got to act like a madman to release some of the energy. I just have to get this thing successful in California so I can take all your talent and all your mastery and put you to work 7 days a week.
Yeah, I'm here. It's building up. I'm waiting, brother. As soon as I get that call.
Yeah, but you get what I'm saying, right? I mean,
no,
you're trying to find expression somewhere because it's built. I mean, you put a lot of time into your work and you got a lot of knowledge. So you're trying to say, I gotta share this. There's a responsibility that I have to share this. And so However, you have to be creative to make that happen. Jump off your head, stand on your head, and draw an audience to you, so they'll listen about how valuable what you got to share is that valuable to the world. And that's your technique right now. So I see that as a big recall for me to get you down here as quick as possible, so people can see your gift and I can enjoy your mastery as well, and your level of education. Because I totally respect you, and just know that there will be so many gifts that people could get in front of you full time. So that's my goal.
About not taking yourself or anything else too seriously.
Yeah,
I love. Yeah, I love Jim Carrey, Robin Williams, Jackie Chan, Charlie Chaplin, Harold Lloyd. These guys, like especially Harold Lloyd and Charlie Chaplin, they were great masters of telling things without saying a single word. And then when Charlie Chaplin did speak, the Dictator, that film, at first, that at the time they didn't get it. They saw it as what it wasn't. They saw it as promoting Hitler, but it was about so much more. It's actually trying to tell you a lot more. And sometimes people need a slap. Sometimes they need, and my slap comes in my craziness, my wildness, my mad laugh.
Yeah,
but the point is to get into that point with massage and healing. Sometimes somebody's so tense, you just have to give a little boop, just a little poke, just to set that domino effect off, release that tension in those meridians, and let it down. Sometimes that comes in a wave of heat. Sometimes that will come from, when I learned from these Japanese guys Shiitsu, and Shiitsu was the one finger technique. They would quite simply, they would scan the whole body, look for one place to press it the most, and they would massage or point that one point only. And that one point would set off a domino effect across everything else. And that's my philosophy, is try to, get the reaction, get people distracted, get their monkey mind slightly off guard so the knowledge can get in. If you come all wise and you talk all very flowing, yeah, it's cool, but not everybody gets it. But you be a bit wacky, make people laugh. Laughter is a key. Laughter is the center of compassion, the middle dantian chakra. Get people happy and send them love, get them laughing, and you open up. Even if it's only energy, even if it's just making silly noises, and if I only send it through energy, it's not that big.
Yeah.
So, your question.
No, that's a good topic I want to share probably as we get pretty close to closing out, because I want to share that, what you were talking about, how to get people to open up. That's why I think it's truly important that, the level of cultivation of opening up the channels. So as I kind of demonstrated, when you get your channels opened up, the most key thing why you want to open up your channels and have these abilities as a healer, if you're interested in being a healer, is because everything is information. Okay, energy is information. Information is a message, or a message is information, and it's Akashic, and that information turns into a form, and usually it has a symptom with it or a disease with it. So what I like to do is that when you have these channels opened up and you're developing the skill and you get all the channels opened up correctly, you're pretty gifted to be able to do, or you're allowed, or you have these abilities where you can do mediumship, you can do psychic reading, you can look at the energy body, you'll have the yin eyes at time, you can see the symbols, you can see the energy. And so when you have a client in front of you, you can just personally break down what's going on with their personal life, okay, very, very quickly in a couple minutes. And that information is alone the actual level of how you create an opening or a release. And so I kind of like to go directly, and that's why I think it's very, very important when somebody has one particular skill set. That's all that, that's fine. But if you do the 7 year, I call it, cycle of really developing the virtues and the blessings and the channels, the microcosmic circuit, and get into working with energy, and you develop your body, then you'll have the gifts of all those 4 or 5 tools. So when you're having people in front of you, you can actually create healing by giving them the direct current information necessary that's going on in their life to either inspire them or open up the door or bring out a healing process immediately. And then when I get them on the table, you got more additional information coming to you, even that's showing up on the body or the energetic messages that are coming across. So after the session, there's a completion. You hit them before, you hit them afterwards, and then they have the experience because now you can execute with the energy and you have the ability to make changes in their body, and then they walk out with a full transformation. And that's how you really grow in a business. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. Because you need all those points. Well, when people only focus on one thing, it takes a lot. When you only have one wheel, it takes a long time to get there. You know, the whole idea of having all those skills, you know, I know you don't call yourself it, but I will always call you. You're a dragon dog shaman and a barefoot doctor. You know, the whole point of you have all these skills, you know, you channel, you draw the energy in, and you give that person information. And that person getting that information is like giving them that little slap saying, you need to listen now. And they go, you know, oh my God, how did you know this? How did you know that? And then suddenly their bodies are tuned, opened up more to receive what you're giving, because they're, you know, they're not trapped in this, oh, it's just hands healing, or oh, it's faith healing, or it's this, it's that. And that's what makes you as good as you are, is the fact that you are connected to, for me, it's the Tao, for some people would say spirit. You connected and you can tune in and you can give people the relevant information, because that is as much about healing as massaging somebody or opening up an energy channel, because all those different ways, it's all healing, baby. Well, everything is.
Let me show you something real quick.
Oh, here we go.
So this is and the first thing I want to share is that when I want to talk about real quick, because I know I got about 10 more minutes before a client comes, but I want to share this with you, is that the most important thing at this time is that whatever I am, I may be standing up above you guys and you might be looking up for information. Maybe I'm drawing the audience right now because they're looking up to me to give them information. But the most important responsibility that we have, is that we need to teach people the self-realization and be extremely humbled to let them know that there's nothing special about me. It's just I'm here to teach you what I did, so you can look at me directly eye to eye and realize that you're capable of the same thing. It's not about some type of special technique or what I am and how great I am and what I can do compared to anybody else. It's about being a real true servant and let people realize, you know, and be able to have the wisdom to realize everybody has this ability, and get everybody excited to realize they can do this. And so we're just putting in the work, and I'm creating this demonstration and showing you not about how great I am, it's about you can do it too. And I want to help you, and I want to shift you, and I want to tell you what's possible, because whatever I share with you, it's definitely going to be relatable, or you're going to really understand it's the truth, and then you're going to want to follow it because you understand that it's a higher level of just soul life. When your soul understands truth, you're motivated. Does that make sense? When your soul understands truth, you're motivated to stick with it. So I just share, this is my book of clients, and I started back in 2010. And when you're doing this work, you just write down everything. But I wrote down every single client that's been here over a 5-year period, 6-year period. So even when a client comes here, I can tell them exactly what number they are in their book, okay? And like I have a client showing up today, and she's going to be 3,769. Okay, so people come and you go, you're 3,769 a day. But what I really want to show you is, see the pink? Those are all the new referrals per month. So I'm averaging 10 to 20 new people a month that's coming in my business. That's huge. That's huge. And what I'm telling you is, it's not about huge for me. What I want you to tell you is what is possible. And you can do this. Everybody, you can do this. You find the right teacher. You trust it. You stay with stuff that's free. There's Qigong. You get a teacher. Once he teaches you Qigong, you practice it. It's free. Buying a journal. Once you're writing a journal, it's free. Breath work. Sit on the floor, out in the park. It's free. Okay, there's a lot of cultivation purposes or things or modalities that you can do that are free. All we are representations of that success, and we hope we motivate you all to become what we all should be doing, is serving other people, washing other people's feet, helping the divine, helping the planet, being love, showing that God's amazing, and that self-realization is now coming into the forefront, and that we can go directly and connect. We don't have to go to the church on Sunday. If you want to go, it's great, but if you really want to get your answers, you can just connect. And eventually, over time, with enough intention, enough devotion, and emotion, and love, we all can be there together, right across the board. Okay? So I'll leave that ending as that. Okay? Because I'm already getting kind of revved up for my next client, and I'll probably talk faster and faster and faster. I want to try and stay as grounded as possible. Does that answer everybody's question or anything before we wrap up or whatever? I mean,
Chris, you got it.
You've just answered what the question that I was going to ask you. So
you've been grasshoppered. You have been grasshoppered.
Well, I've got more questions, but if you're getting tight on time, then
I'll take a question. Oh, Chris, I want to be paid because I ramble on, but yeah, I want to. There's two of them I know I need to answer for you. So what are those?
Okay. One, how is there a quick way that people can just ground themselves? Because we were talking about the importance of, or you were talking about the importance of grounding yourself, and if there's just a simple technique someone could go through to do that.
Yeah, real simple thing is the word HA, ha, like the heart, and you just stand up, and all you do is you just go like this, and you carry the energy, over your shoulder, bring your hands over, and when you purge, you just go, ha, and just carry it all the way to the floor. Right? There's that whatever you believe in, you're going to be grounded. Okay, so if you love just sitting there with a big, huge rock in your lap, and you think you're grounded, you just put your intention, and you're grounded. The universe loves you. It's just about what you believe the most. If they see me on the video and they go, oh, he's a real deal, they're going to do this all day, and then nothing else going to change their way. But there's all kinds of different levels to be grounding. There's not one technique. The most important thing is that your intention is so deep, and you visualize it the best way possible, that you're rooted to the floor, or the energy's coming from your feet. It's already done. How you do that process, it's always perfect.
Cool.
How about your second question?
My next question is, can you possibly come back on the show again, please?
Yeah, we could probably do that, but I have a feeling that I'll be talking to you privately down the road, or we'll be talking about some type of maybe teaching or answering deeper questions for you. So I'm just supposed to put that out for you, that there'll be something that I'll have Paul can pick out your number and give it to you, and you don't have to be on a mass media to talk to me. We can do it personally. I won't have no problem with that. So you can get in contact with me, and I can answer some other questions for you. Okay. Cool. Yeah. Are you working on a job change coming up right now? Are you going through a possible job change for yourself, Chris?
Possibly. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. So we'll talk about that too.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So
Chris,
yeah,
you got
there's a lot of stuff.
Headlights look on your face, like
Yes, that would be the headlight look.
see, you thought I was, in your face. Russ is the grasshopper. So it's all good. Right, Ethan, have you got any last questions for us before we have to go?
I don't have any last questions. I would like to say, what? You have something?
Let me tell Chris real quick. Hey, Chris.
Okay.
Chris, you there?
Yes.
Chris, let me just say a thing. One thing I'm supposed to share with you is don't let your intellectual side feel like it's going to be the dominating factor holding you back of your process. Okay. Whatever they're sharing with me intellectually, you're a very, very brilliant guy. So don't think that that's going to be a waiver or a stopping point. I don't know why they're sharing that with me, but just understand that the intellectual side that you carry, understand it can move over to just as much as the creative side. So you're not limited, and you don't have to turn yourself into a professor of Chinese medicine or esoteric study. and just be this guy that talks lineage out of book. You do have the abilities to manifest just as much strength that you have on the intellectual side as you will the spiritual side. Does that make sense what I'm sharing with you?
It does, yes.
Okay. So I'm just telling you, don't get overwhelmed with that process. That's your next healing phase. Okay? That's basically probably why the mind question came in about the ox. So I'm just sharing with you that I was supposed to give you that information for you. Okay? So just understand that you're perfect where you're at.
Thank you.
Along with having a huge heart, you have a great heart chakra, by the way. So, yeah, you're good. You're already that's going to be that's already a plus for you. So you're ready to roll. You're ready to roll. Anyways,
Yeah.
sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
Oh,
He's another member of my team of the school of the mystery school of the Three Dragons. He just doesn't know it yet.
You're in very good hands. Very good hands. Very good hands.
I love you, brother. Thank you very much. Right, okay, right. It is 3 minutes to go, so we'll let it close up because I know you've got another patient, another student. So, thank you very much, brother. Been a very impactful and a very knowledgeable and a very instructive show with you. So, thank you so much, guys. You got anything else to say?
Russ, I just wanted to say, as always, it's been a pleasure, and thank you for sharing the wisdom that you've gained.
Oh, thank you, guys. I appreciate you. And hey, when we get the videos out and stuff, if you guys could do anything to share or add to it, that's great. Because the more people we touch lives with, is what we're trying to accomplish. Okay. So I appreciate you guys listening and being part of all this. It's been wonderful. Been really wonderful. Okay. Anything I can do to help or serve, just text, email me. But I'm there for you guys. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Russ.
All right, guys.
We're there
great.
We're there for you too.
All right.
Thank you, brother. Love you. See you again soon.
Love you too. All right, buddy. Bye-bye.
Love you.
And like magic, there he goes. Well, so, and you thought, I was like a tornado, It's like, but you can tell that the Daoist, well, energy of like me and Russ, we're very, and breathe, boom. Yeah, it's like a whirlwind on acid. I love my metaphors. But so any do we want to summarize that or have any after talk to that?
I just go for it, Chris.
No, you go first. I can jump in afterwards. I've got my questions down here.
Okay. I just wanted to say, since we're still live and everyone's still watching, probably, that this is where the magic comes from. To me, this is what makes it powerful, is when we can share experiences that show that we're all in the same cycle. We're just standing in different places. There's a quote from a really great book that I really enjoy, 365 Tao by Denming Dao. It's a daily meditation book. And he talks about, paraphrasing, he talks about how all souls are just standing in an infinitely long line of souls. So it would be silly to look up to someone and glorify them for standing in the place that you would be standing. And how it would also be silly to look down on other people for standing where your soul was. And to me, this show kind of encapsulates that concept. So that's my thing. What do you got, Chris?
I just want to give a quick shout out to Luna24, who's just posted a comment saying she's watching the show. So hello.
Hello. Have you got a question, Selena Luna? It's Kat. Oh, hello, Kat. You know Kat, Chris.
Do I?
Yes,
of course
Kat.
I do. Yes. Hi, Kat.
Hi.
I just think it'd be nice if we just touch on some of the subjects that I can't even remember his name. Russ was talking about lineage, maybe a few bits on helping people get started on qigong, little things like that. And
Sure.
I don't know what you guys think.
I'm down.
Oh, that's good. It's cool. Right. Okay. Well.
Oh, and one other thing, shifting. That's
Oh,
another one that I think we
sorry?
don't really cover, because he was talking very much about shifting, and I think it's really important we cover that topic as well.
Sure. Who wants to go first?
Right. Oh well. Okay, Chris, you started this. Which topic first?
Shifting.
Shifting.
Right. What do you mean by shifting?
Did I go? I guess I'll go. All right, fine. I'll go. So shifting. My definition of shifting, because everything it comes down to definition.
Okay.
So my personal definition of shifting would be the release of old habitual thought patterns, processes, life patterns, whatever you may have, into a new form of thinking, a new form of being, a new form of existing. So the emotional, mental, and physical shift between one kind of consciousness and another, between health and dis-ease, between happiness and sorrow, and a broader perspective that will be continuous and will not revert. So that looks like healing your body, healing mind viruses, so stinking thinking, habitual thought processes that are not conducive to your well-being, shifting the energy of a place, trying to bring the energy up in a place, making a place a happier and more vibrant place. It's something that I have personally experienced in my life as someone who stimulates shifts in people. I've had a lot of experiences with meeting people, and because I meet people, because of how I choose to live my life and the things that I choose to do with my life and the person that I've shaped myself into and the spirit has shaped me into, changes people's perspectives, changes people's realities. And inevitably, as a result, then it will kind of kickstart or being a catalyst for someone's healing. Like Boggie was a catalyst for Chris to a certain extent. I'm not going to go into the details. Yeah, I know. It's our fault. We do these. We go around and cause chaos, and chaos is the cleaning process. So that to me is kind of the definition of a shift. Basically. Boggy, go!
Silence.
Silence.
Is it my turn?
Yes, your turn.
Your turn.
Okay. Right. Shifting. Right. Well, you know, what do you mean by shifting? Is, for me or with us, is the shifting of is in that flow. The Dao means the way, the balance. And my screen's frozen. Am I still going?
You're still going. Keep going.
Keep going.
Okay, right. So it's that shifting from one thing to another. Is this in the Daoist terms I was taught? Is about keeping in that moment, living in the Dao, the now of the Dao. So you have the Tai Chi symbol that's constantly flowing. Most people see this, and I don't know if it's on the screen, hope it is, the Tai Chi symbol, and they see it as a set, but it actually moves, it actually flows, and it's going around that way, and then it sort of turns in itself, and then it suddenly goes the other way. Move the other way. So life is this fluctuation of ups and downs, ins and outs, yins and yangs. The dawn goes into the day, which goes into the afternoon, which goes into the evening, dusk into the evening, into the night, and eventually back to the dawn again. Everything's constantly flowing. So if everything's constantly flowing, you need to be shifting to be, in essence, constantly moving from one to another. You can stand still like a tree, but even a tree that appears to be stationary on the outside is moving inside. And if you say, well, a tree still moves, so think of a mountain. A mountain is very, very still. But if you went down to the molecular level, you would see that the atoms are flying all over the place like mad things. There is always movement and stillness. There's always the yin and yang. And the Tao is about this shifting. It's about finding your middle ground, finding your personal balance. So this is sort of Russ highlighted as well, is that people get hooked. They hear, oh, this is Anderson's way. This is his Tao. Now, as we saw in the show, your Tao. And your Tao is, in essence, a mixture of everything that already exists. Is that everyone and everything is your Sifu. Learn from everything. And your Tao, you're always shifting. It's always moving. It's always growing. If it is truly Tao, if it's truly balanced, then it will be shifting from one thing to another. It will always be growing, because if you stand still, to stand still for too long, it becomes stagnant, it becomes stale. Just like in the body, if certain parts, if certain muscles start to stiffen up, you get tension. That tension builds up in your body, and it affects your body. You start to get more and more stressed. That affects your body, and then you start to get ill, or it starts to build up as dis-ease. And illness can eventually lead to death. So you don't want to worry, you don't want to overstress. You want to learn to shift. You want to learn to break that down. You'll keep the good flowing going, or the going flowing. So it's that flow of the yin and the yang. And so it's understanding that life is always in motion. Still, you think it is. Like I say, look at a mountain. Within that mountain, you will find movement. The atoms move. There will be stuff inside. There'll be insects crawling all over it. They're moving. There'll be worms and other insects in the earth. They're moving. Is that even within stillness, there is movement, which is known as Wu Qi, is primordial chaos or unlimited possibilities. So, which is sort of one of the things that Russ mentioned, powered through, is this possibility of everything is possible. Everything is possible. Remember that. So you can achieve everything and anything is setting your mind to it and getting things into that focus. So back to that shifting your perspective, shifting your point of view to get what you require, what you need. Because whatever you believe is true. There's a lot of psychology, there's a lot of case studies all about this, is that the mind can't tell the difference between what you imagine and what you're actually doing. They've done case studies with athletes, got them to, in their head, get ready for a run and do the run. Their muscles started flexing, their body temperature started to increase, the heart rate started to increase, because the mind believed what they were doing in that race. So what you imagining, your body can't tell the difference between what you imagine and what is real. So that's when we talk about the bull, is you're attracting the bull. You're drawing, because the bull or monkey mind is one of the theories, is the bull has either How's Lao Tzu back, so Lao Tzu's the great sage who wrote the Tao Te Ching, or it's got a monkey on its back. And when the bull has a monkey on its back, you want to keep well away. Because monkey mind is all over the place. Monkey mind, the trickster, a little bit like Loki. For those who've ever heard of monkey magic or has seen the film with Jet Li and Jackie Chan.
Forbidden Kingdom.
Which I always, yeah, that one.
Forbidden
The
Kingdom.
monkey, and the monkey's very much about your ego. It's very much about this. You know, it's all over the place. It's always diverting. It's running you around in circles. In the West, we sort of say the devil sitting on your shoulder, but it's not really a bad guy, and it's not something separate. It's you. Everything is you. Monkey mind on one shoulder, the ego. Monkey mind on one shoulder, or the ego, or Buddha thought on the other. But they're all you. They're the same bit. They're you. They're all you. All your organs are you. All your emotions are you. All your thoughts and feelings are all you, and you're flowing in the middle, just like the Tai Chi symbol. Is that you are the bit in the middle, flowing between the two, or flowing between the up and the down. So it's all about shifting between one and another. And I think I'll stop there.
A lot of experience coming out there, Boggie.
Well, see, me and very much alike. I very much, there's will pound in. With the difference with Russ will get lots of information about another person through energy, through sight and body. I look at the body, and the body tells me, your body will tell me certain things, and when I feel your muscles tell me certain things. So when I start saying, like to a person, like you carry the world on your shoulders, that relates in Chinese diagnosis. That's the muscles, the tension in the muscles is very much about like Atlas, about the world on his shoulders. It's very much that all your pressures, all your daily pressures are on the tips of your shoulders, weighing you down. You feel burdened. It doesn't matter how many pressures there are for you, you're feeling the weight on your shoulders. When you feel tension in somebody's neck, if somebody's neck's very, very tense, the neck is the bridge between, as they used to say in, I always forget, it's the Viking mythology, isn't it? Rainbow Bridge?
Yes, Rainbow Bridge is from Norse mythology.
Thank you. And it was, as far as what the East say, it's the same thing. It's the neck is the bridge between the spirit and the body. Is that what the brain or what the mind, what the spirit creates, what the spirit believes the body needs to achieve. And when you have tension in the neck, it is struggling to create what you're believing, what you want, what you've created in your mind. Your body is struggling to create. The tension in the neck is the blockage in the bridge between creating and manifesting. So the difference between me and Russ gets it very much in a spiritual way, but I can be very much like Russ. I can, I breathe, to breathe more. I try to, breathe and relax. But what I always remember from my Sifu Po. Po was the happier one of the two, my two main Sifus, and Po would say about the cherry blossom. You can only catch so much. So when I teach somebody, they'll learn what they'll learn. They'll pick up what they'll pick up, and it's not up to me to decide what that is. So it's up to me to be confident with myself and open, and be open and honest, and talk from the heart, from the spirit and from the heart. So you're connected to spirit, so you're receiving the energy from the Tao, from the universe, from yourself. But you're also connected with your heart, so you're sending out in a loving way. There's no egotistical, it's not I'm better than you, none of that. Scheiße. Sorry, I swore in German. None of that rubbish. It is very much speaking from the heart. Is that I give you this information lovingly. Here are these toys. I'm not saying play with. You can play with any or all the toys that you want. And it's talking the heart. And it's learning that. It's learning that to trust the universe, trust yourself. So a lot of what Russ was talking about is faith. Is of course it's one of those misunderstood words, a bit like meditation, a bit like martial arts, a bit like sacred violence, but we'll get on that another time. Faith, but faith. When I'm talking about faith of trusting the knowledge, trusting you're doing the right thing. If you're coming from the heart and coming from the spirit, then you just need the third thing from the three ones is faith, is to trust. Is trust that what you're saying will be right for whoever. And the great thing is that, we're doing them here and now, but will be there as long as they're on YouTube. So therefore, you could be watching it right now, a year from now, 2 years from now, 10 years from now, and it will be relevant for you right there, right now, at that moment. And yet, we're talking from the past. But that's the point, is that you talk with faith, you talk with trust, that when you teach, as a teacher, the best way to learn what you're doing is teach. What Baz very much knows, and learning himself, is that the best way to learn the stuff better is to actually teach it. Because when you teach it, you have to work out how somebody else knows it. And I love the old Shaolin and Samurai and Daoist point of view of everything you learn and everything you study enhances everything else you do. So this is why this is why a samurai will learn to do the tea ceremony and flower arranging and bonsai cutting and several other things which to most non-martial artists or to most non-samurai, they say, why is a samurai? He's a warrior. Why is he learning to do the tea ceremony? Because it's about ritual. It's an understanding. Why is he learning to cut a tree? Because it's about understanding about nature. And the Zen way, the samurai way of bonsai is learning to force, is to control that tree to grow in a certain way. So you can do things in a certain style. So there's two main styles of bonsai. There's the Daoist way and there's the Zen way, or samurai way. So it's this thing of you learn all these different things. You never stop learning. If you think that you know it all, then you need to wake up. Come here. You're always learning. There's always more to learn. That's why but you can learn from a flower. You can learn from bird song. You can learn from a beautiful sunny dawn. You can learn from a stormy winter afternoon. There's always something to learn, because it doesn't have to be words. It doesn't have to have human meaning. Everything has information. Everything teaches you. It is your Sifu.
Absolutely.
Flowing through that. But hey, what do I know?
All right, Chris, what do you got to say? I know you got something to say.
Yeah.
What? Wow.
Yeah.
I think, Russ is this amazing guy. I mean, he just nailed us all to the wall. Just like, boom. Boom. It was just like, I was just waiting for him to come to me. I was just waiting for it.
Yeah,
anyway,
totally.
He nailed you so well. It was just like, wow.
He did that to me last time after the show. He did it on the show, but last time he waited till after the show and was like, bam, 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 bam. I was like, oh, fuck.
And I just want to come back on a point on that, and I think it was an important message that Russ was trying to give out, is that he's not anything special. Any one of us is capable of doing that, and I just wanted to know what you guys thought about that message.
Well, for me,
and if I've got it right.
Yeah, but I just say it in a different way. I say it, everything is and everyone and everything is your Sifu, including you. You know, you're all here. We're all here to learn from each other, but also learn from ourselves. And you know, there is this philosophy of that this universe is a learning tool, and basically there are two paths. It's either service to self, which there's many ways to sort of to describe that. One way is service to self is yes, me. It's all about me, or the service to others. One will take you so far, and one will take you further. You know, but neither are right or wrong. They just are. You know, there is this philosophy of, you know, everything is about learning. And yes, you know, is that, you know, Chris, you don't see that your questions are lessons. You ask a question, and not only do you ask in a way that gives the information to other people in a very profound way, but it also actually putting the spotlight on the person on the question. You're putting the spotlight on that person themselves. You're actually like showing a mirror. It's you ask this question, you go boom, and you know it's like wow, because when you answer your question, because I've seen it in people's eyes, when they answer your question, they are reflecting back what they are. They're actually clarifying what they are. So certain people can clarify that really well because they know who they are. Other people, it takes a bit more or takes a little bit deeper. But that's why, you know, and that is lesson. That is a learning. It's a way of teaching people. It's your questions that, you know, you just, you know, you think, oh, little old me. And this is the biggest thing with you, is having faith in yourself and learning that. What did I just say? What you were going to say?
Chris just, I saw Chris's face and he just got whacked. It's like the whack-a-mole game, you know, where you're at the arcade and you hit the thing when it comes up. Chris was one of them, just got whacked on the head. No.
Indeed. And this is the point: is we're all Sifus. We're all you know, off air. I've said this to you guys already. I both learn as much from you as you know anything else. And one thing I want to, you know, with this show is that you know, it's a show, and we hope it's interesting, and we're trying to get on interest guests, yada yada. But the biggest thing is. And we want the show it to be that it's pointing you in your direction. Now we're not telling you what that direction is. That's why each show is different. Each show has a different guest. We're not saying you must do this, because that's not my way, and that'll take you down a path, but it's not always the best path. You know, that is about find your personal way, your personal Tao. And yeah, everybody teaches. Everybody's a teacher. Everybody, you know, a true Daoist knows that everyone is the Sifu, is the teacher. So you need, as well as to talk, which you need to learn, but you also, as me and Ethan, need to learn. We need to bloody listen too, because only from listening will you get the right information. But like I've learned, I mean, one of the great things I've learned from Ethan, and why I will promote, you know, from head to my toe, Myth Gear, is that Ethan is a true clothesmith. He's a true smith of the creator, because he'll find a song related to what he's making. He'll have that knowledge. He'll find out your birth chart. He'll make. It's not just being made for you. That's being made. Whatever he makes is made of you. He's making it from your energy. He's delving into your soul, into your being, and he's creating. And like we saying in the show last week, his show about the whole myth gear, and it's all about highlighting your character, your superhero, the you superhero, but he delves into you to get that. He will create that, and that's why he has to bounce from, because they're so in depth. They're so that if you don't, you'll drive you crazy, and he's already slightly crazy. So necessarily want him any crazier than he already is, but. I think all three of us, and Russ, we're all crazy. Everybody's normal is the average of weird. Let's get that out there. But the whole point is that it has their own craziness. That's a bit of the monkey mind. But if you don't embrace that, if you don't learn, if you don't let it be your Sifu, then it will drive you insane. And that's the point, is you have to embrace both. To embrace the knowledge, but you have to also embrace that scared side of you, that I don't know anything. But you say, well, actually, no, I do, and you have to move forward. But don't let I know this stuff get in the way, because there's always more to learn. There's always more to do. But it's about confidence and shifting from one to the other.
Absolutely agree.
Right, somebody else talk.
I guess it's my turn. So let's see. What the question was, I'm going to rephrase it. I'm going to repeat it so I make sure I'm remembering it correctly. The question was about Russ's comment about how, I'm paraphrasing, how we're all the same and how in the end, nothing special. Right?
That's right, yes. Everyone is capable of doing what he was doing.
Everyone is capable of doing what he is doing. That is the exact same thing that Jesus said. I am not a Christian. I do not necessarily support large sections of the Christian Bible. However, there are some universal truths that the Christ, Jesus, whatever you want to call him, was talking about. And he was saying the same thing. Buddha said the same thing. All the great spiritual masters all say the same thing, which is, I am simply you in a different place. And I really honestly believe that is how it is for all of us. Because I am a version of me that I wasn't this way 6 months ago. I wasn't this way 2 years ago. I've never been this way before. I will never be this way again, because I have grown in my process. So while we're growing in our process, it would be like, the metaphor that comes to mind for me is like an acorn is 1,000-year-old oak tree without the growth that it just hasn't happened yet. It's still an oak. It still could be 1,000-year-old oak tree. And someday, if it's given the right circumstances, if it's given the right stimulus, so whether that would be for humans, that would be spiritual experiences, personal growth, freedom to grow spiritually, whatever their spiritual needs may be for their growth and their expansion, or whether that's a small seed that is being planted and then fed by sunlight and water and compost and the other things that it needs, it is the same. That tree, that acorn can be the tree. So it would, to me, it goes back to that whole, we're all souls standing in line. It would be silly just to pick up an acorn and say, well, you're never going to amount to anything. Because you haven't seen what that acorn can become in time. Because if you're looking at it through the ego, through what you perceive to be a forever state, when you get stuck in that, perceiving things as the forever state. Sorry, my computer's making noise at me. When you perceive things in that forever state, which is our natural state of being, I catch my consciousness doing it all the time. It loves to do it to me. We get stuck in this. This will be how it will be forever. I really feel like this is bred in us in Western consciousness, between general, because we want to make everything the same. Well, how much, like, just as an example, how much sleep should you get? All humans need to get this much sleep. That's not true. There's so many variable factors that need to be considered for that. Your energy output, your stress levels, like how your circadian cycles can be affected by living in a different climate, in a different time zone than you were raised in. There's an infinite number of possibilities. The same as there's an infinite number of stimulus that can be provided for that oak while it is growing up. It could be like, I live on the coast. There are trees that grow on the coast that grow in a very distorted fashion compared to normal trees because of the high winds, because of the rocky environment that they live in, because of all of these things. Now, that tree had just as much potential to be a 1,000-foot oak tree. It might not be a 1,000-foot oak tree in this particular existence. That doesn't mean that it's not going to be in another existence, or doesn't mean that it didn't have that possibility. So ultimately what I'm referencing here, I feel, is that we are all going to the same place. It's my understanding that when the universe ends, the universe is going to collapse in however many bazillion years. That is when the last soul reaches the Christ consciousness, the Buddha consciousness, has completed the full cycle from the dark to the light. And then at that point, Creator will reemerge with itself, return to, I think it's the 10th dimension, where all things are one at the same time, and any sort of deviation creates a split, and then it goes down to the dimension below it. We will all be returning to that, because ultimately that is all our state of being that we are all working back to. It's like something that I've noticed, and I was never a fan of this growing up, and I'm still not a fan of it, and I've never been a fan of it. The people who say, "Oh, you're so young," when you tell them how old you are, maybe they're 10 years older than you, maybe they're 15 years older than you. They are always going to comment on how young you are. Why? They were that age. But they were always putting themselves in the superior place to you, because age is considered superior a lot of times. So when they're 30 and you're 20, as an example, they're going to say, "Oh, you're so young, you're only 20. But when you're 30 and they're 40, they're going to say, "Oh, you're so young, you're only 30. Because it's that perspective that they have. It's that ego involvement in this concept of growth and change and equality. Because true, and like I'm 30, true, an 18-year-old is not going to most likely be where I am at right now in my consciousness, because I have 12 years of life on them. And so that 12 years has showed me things. However, that does not mean they will not be standing where I am, or standing way the fuck ahead of where I am by the time they're my age. That's a concept that I would be projecting onto them.
I just want to jump in for a second here, because I've had a direct experience of this. Sometimes I will meet someone who's very young, as I would phrase it, but is so worldly wise that you're kind of like in awe of them, because they have that discernment. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Sorry, carry on.
No. What else did you want to say, or was that it?
I think there is that mindset where you can easily just like look down, and age is looked on as with reverence, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I mean, there is a lot of wisdom by going through life. Absolutely.
I think that wisdom can give you life, or that wisdom can give you life. Yes, that it can. I think that age can give you wisdom, but I don't think that wisdom necessarily comes with age. Because I know some people who are in their 40s, I know some people who are in their 60s, in their 80s even, who are still doing some pretty silly things, and from my perspective, that to me, I would have hoped that they would have gained the wisdom by that point in their life to see how suboptimal that behavioral pattern is, or that diet pattern is, or whatever that may be. So, not everything that lives a long time gains wisdom from its life. If you're still stuck in the same habitual pattern for your entire life, it doesn't matter how old your body is if you're still repeating the same pattern.
That's why we're on the wheel.
Yes, absolutely. Sometimes you go under it. I wanted to also say about paths. The Lakota Dakota people talk about the red road and the black road. The red road is the road of service. It has to do with cultivation of the self. It's a very difficult, windy, I don't want to say troublesome, but challenging path. And then there's the black road. The black road is wide, flat, and easy. When you die, this is my understanding of their belief system. When you die, you go up to the great elder in the sky, and she looks at what path you walked. And if you walked the red road, then you do not return to Earth. If you walked the black road, then she kicks you off the constellation, and you come falling back to Earth, and you got to do it all over again. What does that say? Now let's look at the Christ consciousness. Christ evolved to the point where he didn't need to come back. He walked the red road. He was in service. He was loving. He was caring. He was compassionate. And now he's moved on. So we see this idea, this concept is repeated through basically, as far as I'm concerned, basically through every culture. So it has to me, if every culture is agreeing on something, that's a universal truth. You can't. I mean, what are you going to do? Say that this Aboriginal culture that's on one side of the world that's never met this culture on the other side of the world, they have the exact same spiritual beliefs. Like that's a pretty straight answer to me.
That's an accident.
Yeah, sure. Right. Whatever you say, monkey mind, whatever you say.
That's just random. Yeah, that sort of thing happens on statistics, right?
Random statistics. Oh, statistics can go and be with an obscenity. So that's kind of my thoughts on it. Is that yes, we are all different, but that doesn't necessarily, because we're all standing in line, doesn't mean that the person who's farther ahead in the line is any way superior to the person who's farther behind in the line, because that to me gets into moralistic judgments. And moralistic judgments are right and wrong, should, shouldn't, and those are all open to personal interpretations. We can say that someone is in a more optimal place for their survival, or for a more optimal place for the things that they are trying to accomplish than this other person. But like I said earlier, that doesn't mean that this next, a great example is skills. There's skills like learning how to ride a skateboard. This is a great example. It took me a long time. I have learning disabilities. It took me a while before I could actually skateboard. My stepdaughter learned how to ride a skateboard in like 3 hours. It took me weeks to learn. Or another good example is I help out with a unicycle club that my stepdaughter is part of. One of the kids in there is a very quick study. I use jumping stilts. He got on my jumping stilts and was walking around without any assistance within 5 minutes. It took me over 5 hours to get to the point where I didn't have to hold on to something. It took him 5 minutes. So I could have gone into that situation saying, I'm superior to you because I can use jumping stilts and you can't. He did in 5 minutes what it took me 5 hours to do. I'm 30. He's like 12. By the time, if he put his mind to it, by the time that he got to 30, he could far, far, far surpass me in ability to do the things that I can do. So why? I mean, we do it all the time. And to me, it would be silly to look down on him and say, like, I'm better than you because I've put in more time. I've got 18 years of life on him. When he's 18 years older, he could be better at any of the skills that I have than me if he put his mind to it. So at this point, I'm probably just going to keep repeating myself, so I'll shut up. Chris, it's your turn now. Tell us what you...
We're
yes!
We're work on a technical difficulty here. We're just trying to work out whether we're still live or not.
It looks like we're still live.
Yeah, it says it up in the top corner. But the last thing I'm getting on the YouTube feed is where Boggie was talking about the samurai thing. So just give me a second.
I'll give you as many seconds as you want.
Okay, let's take it that we're still running, and then we'll see where we get. Right. Okay. Yes. So another thing Russ was talking about was the title Master versus Sifu.
Wait. You didn't answer the question.
Oh, sorry. What was the question?
The question is about being us all being capable of doing the same thing, and us and that whole thing. You get to be the questioner, but you got to answer sometimes too. Otherwise, we're gonna get all out of balance. And it's not gonna be. Yeah. So I'm calling you out on this. I love you. Sorry.
You're calling me out. Wow, that's a whole different ball game.
Yeah, that's how it goes. Surprise.
Okay, enough avoiding the question. Yeah, I totally understand. No, that's the wrong way to put it. I can see where he's coming from, because how to put this? The best way I can think of it is the queue, the line of souls, if you like. It's the progression, the learning. I hope I'm getting this right. Yeah, he's just further on down the path. He's been where we are now. You know, I'm not quite sure he's ever been a trollsmith, but he could have been.
I don't know if it's good for the soul or not. I'll get back to you on that.
But yes, he has walked the path. He's now walked further down the path, and that's where he is. And yeah, we can hold a little bit of reference for him because he is a great guy. And yes,
absolutely,
he puts out a great energy. But yeah, that's all he is. He's just a normal guy. He's where he is. He is where he is, and everyone should be capable of reaching that point at some point on their journey.
Yes,
I think that sort of answers the question, really.
It does. I just wanted to make you answer a question, really.
Oh, you wanted to make me squirm, did you?
No. I didn't want to make you squirm. I wanted to make you answer a question.
No, I did.
If I was trying to make you squirm, I would have put you in a much worse situation than that.
Yeah, you got 30 seconds from now. Oh, actually, Ethan probably won't get that reference. There was a game show called Countdown, and he had that tune at the end.
I guess it had to do with a game show. It's a pretty universal thing. All right, so Chris, what was the other thing that you were referencing that you wanted to talk about that Russ was speaking of before I?
Oh yes, he touched on lineage as well, and I don't want to get too deep into it, but just sort of try and somehow give us an overview of that, if you could, maybe, just to give us an idea, a flavor, an idea of what it is.
Okay, Boggie, you want to go first? Do you want me to?
No, you can go first.
All right. Okay. So lineage. Lineage to me has two kind of general definitions. One is like the lineage of your consciousness and your body and how they relate to you. So lineage is like the lives that your soul has had. So the things that it has experienced and the things that it brings with it from those lives into this life. So like birthmarks are quite often scars from past lives that are imprinted on your holographic feet. And so you carry these things from your past. You're carrying the lineage of your experiences from all of these lives and the things that you have learned in these lives, skill sets that you have learned. Like the 5-year-old who starts playing piano and they're just absolutely amazing at it. They played piano in a past life. To me, it's pretty straightforward. So there's that kind of lineage. And then there's lineage of teaching. And also there's the body lineage. So for instance, there's this thing called the pain body, and the pain body is there's several forms of the pain body. Really, there's your pain body. Chris is gone. Bye, Chris. I think he'll be back soon. So. Oh, you're back! I missed you. Okay, so there's two forms of the pain body. There's the ancestral pain body and the emotional pain body. The ancestral pain body is the things that have happened to your culture that your genetics are from, that get stored in your genetics. Like Irish have an extremely large pain body. Native Americans have an extremely large pain body. Native Americans have a particularly profound pain body at this point, in my opinion, because the pain has been so recently induced into their culture. It's not as settled as it is in other cultures. So I think to a large extent, the English have it as well because of the stiff upper lip and the programming that they've been getting for so long. Japanese as well, I believe, also have a pretty severe cultural pain body. So that is in your genetics. So that is part of your lineage, of the lineage that you are here to try and help heal and clear. And then there is lineage of knowledge, lineage of teachers. So when I learned martial arts, part of my martial art training was learning the lineage of the art that I learned. So the form that I learned has a lot of Shaolin influences. So we learned the lineage of this person passed it to this person, who passed it to this person, who passed it to this person, all the way back to the founder, which was Bodhidharma, for this specific one, Bodhidharma, who taught the 18 hands of Lohan to the Shaolin monks. And then the Shaolin monks, it was in the Shaolin monks for a while until it came to the Maitosi line. So James Maitosi carried it down into the very recent generation. So there's the lineage of knowledge that we accrue from sources. So all of that knowledge is being passed along through the lineage. So the things that do work, the things that don't work, hopefully within that lineage you have people who are interested in changing with the things that don't work instead of following the dogmatic system as it's always been taught. And yeah, so that's kind of my thoughts on lineage. That sense? Yes? No?
Yeah, no. Right. Okay.
Your turn, Boggie.
Right. Okay. Firstly, did somebody look up on Facebook, YouTube? Are we even online?
I think we are.
YouTube is
I've just
okay.
been trying
okay.
it, and I've got the latest images on there.
Oh, good. We're still alive.
Right. Okay. Right. So I'm just about to just very quickly diverse in that question. There's a question here from Jordan Allen. I need a little bit of clarification. The reason I need a bit of clarification because, well, right, he is saying do a video on the scepter of Ra. And then it says I saw your comment, and then there's loads of smiley faces. Now, the scepter of Ra. What do you mean by the scepter of Ra? Because there is technically two. Because there is the scepter that Ra, the sun god, had from Egypt, or are you referring to Ra, the YouTube guy who creates different Egyptian tools in a modern way? And are you talking about his scepter, which I do have? I've put it down somewhere. I've shown you guys before. You've seen it, Chris. You know the wand.
Oh, your healing
I call
crystal
it
one.
my lightsaber. It's actually the scepter. So that's why I'm just a little bit. Are you actually referring to? Are you a friend of Roz and you know about YouTube guy? YouTube guy? What do you mean YouTube guy? Okay. Jordan, if you're still watching, what scepter are you talking about? Are you talking about the guy Ra who lives in Sedona, who creates these different tools? He's got an Ankh. He's got this really cool jeweled Ankh, but is also the scepter. I call it a double lightsaber. Crystal lightsaber, that's what I call it, and it's using Tesla technology and also has crushed crystal within the center. Is that what you're referring to? Arctura Ra, yes. So you're talking about the crystal scepter. Yeah, I can't find it at the moment. I've put it down somewhere. I can do a video on that. I mean, these guys we could do one. They don't know about it as much as I do. What do you mean about its power? Is it you mean for energy? Because it is a very good energy tool. I've actually got a Mayan sorry guys, I seem to be taking over the show. I've got a Mayan wand a actual Mayan wand a guy had made for me, and I've got that, and then I've also got the Ra Zepter, and yeah, the Ra Zepter is it's almost, if you know about the organites, the organ, which is the liquid, it's not latex, liquid silicon. And then they put crystals and different bits of metal in there, and they're basically a spiritual generator. That is I wish I had it. It's a bit annoying because I don't know where I put it. That is what it's like. It's an energy. It's very much an energy conduit. Very cool for healing. Did I hand it to you, Chris? Have you? Did I give it to you? Because I normally hand it around at some point at the camps.
Remember? I think I possibly held it at the camp.
It holds great energy. Please do a video. I'm interested. You're interested? Okay, I will do a video on the scepter. Okay, so that's not a problem, Jordan. You can also contact Ra himself and talk about them. But yeah, I'm happy to do a video. It's not really the show sort of thing because Chris hasn't sort of used it much, and I've shown it to I've shown it on the show before. But yeah, I will do yes, I can do a thing on it. Right. Okay, let's get back. So lineage, all that word. My stammer's going to kick in. Yes, it depends on what you mean, because
Boggie,
Gone.
he's gone. Not forgotten though. You're back.
That's because we didn't forget you.
Woohoo! Yeah, see, I stopped talking about the scepter, and that's it. No.
Okay, we've got about 9 minutes left in the show, Boggie.
Yeah, no worries. So yeah, well, yeah, Ethan pretty much covered it on the lineage. There's as well, but yeah, listen to Ethan. So, Chris.
I want to divert topics for a second and go on to something which was a great passion of Russ's, which is diary keeping. And I'm just curious, who here keeps a diary?
I keep in my traditional fashion. I keep a very fragmented diary. I keep like 6 diaries at the same time. I keep one for writing down my feelings and my thoughts that has nothing to do with my day's events. And that one, I don't keep track of days in it because for me, those things are timeless. I keep, and I don't do this consistently. I waver back and forth. For about a couple years, I was keeping what I called the Book of Accomplishments, which was a tool I was using for my sense of not feeling like I was getting anything done with my life. I'd write down everything I accomplished, anything that I considered an accomplishment. So that would be, I got up and I made breakfast and I went to work and I came home and I did this and this and this and this. And there are things in there like today I got really upset and I cried because it's hard for me to cry being a male raised in society. So I consider that to be an accomplishment. So I keep a book of accomplishments. I keep a book of emotions. And I try and keep a book of synchronicities where profound synchronicities will happen and I'll write them down. Kind of like he was talking about marking them. I just have a separate book devoted to that. Because I like doing 10,000 things at the same time. So I have 10,000 books going at the same time. And then I also have books for keeping just stray thoughts. And then I have a book for creative ideas. So, and then I keep a journal where I log all my exercise that I do. Oh, nice, Boggie found it. So I believe that it is definitely a powerful tool to be able to recount the things that we have done, the experiences that we have had. Our thought processes. I've read back in some of the things I've written from, 10, 15 years ago, because I have a very unique relationship with writing, because I didn't learn how to read really till I was about 14, so I couldn't write. Because if you can't read, you can't write. That's just how it works. So I started writing thoughts and concepts down, and looking at how my thought process has changed. I can track how my spiritual growth has affected my thoughts and my actions, and I can look back and see judgments that I had. It's definitely a very, very powerful tool that I recommend to anyone who is willing to take that on. And there is a dark side to this, which is if you keep a very private journal and you do write down all of your thoughts and all of your emotions, that there are people out there who will be disrespectful and read them. I had a partner who did not keep a journal because her partner before me had been very nosy and would go in and read her journal without her permission, and it would cause a lot of problems in their relationship. So that is my one warning, is that make sure if you're going to keep a journal that it is safe. If you're going to be writing down things like that, because some things are only for us. Some thoughts, if you told them to other people, you would have to then defend them. And some thoughts, I don't believe that you need to defend. I believe that if you write something in anger and frustration, that time will pass. If somebody reads that, then they will take it as a forever.
But that's a point of view, isn't it? It's a perspective that they're stuck with, rather than shifting with the flow of how you would flow as a human being.
Yeah,
your emotions will change. Yeah,
absolutely. It all comes back to that concrete forever business, which there's no such thing as forever.
You thought I was a tomato, but I'm not. I'm not a tomato. I'm an orange, or whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? I can't think of the words to put in there, but.
Totally.
They've now fixed you in their mind as being a tomato for the rest of their lives.
You will forever be. It's like when people. A great example is our minds do this, right? So you meet someone, they have a beard and a mustache, right? And you see them without their beard and their mustache, and you're like, "Wow, you look so weird."
You look about 10 years younger.
But eventually, if you're around them long enough and they continue to stay clean shaven, then that is the perspective that you will take. And then if they grow a beard again, you'll go, "Wow, you look strange. Like, what's changed?" It's the same with haircuts. What's changed? And then you realize. Well, what, Boggie?
No, mate. No, you go. Go on.
Okay. So then you realize that our consciousness naturally adapts. This is like you're talking about learning things from everywhere. This is what facial hair is taught me, is that our minds will naturally adapt, facial hair and hair in general, to the way that we are accustomed to seeing things in the now. So if you met me, a year or two ago when I had a full beard, and I had a full beard for years, that was just the way that you were used to seeing me. But now that I'm generally clean shaven, not always consistent, but I'm generally clean shaven, this is the face that you're used to now. So we naturally adapt, but we like to hold on to images and we like to hold on to concepts. And I think that movies are an extreme disservice to us in this regard. Because in movies, everyone wears the same costume. That's not actually the same costume. They make 10 copies of the same costume, exactly the same, and then the actor will wear a different copy of that costume. But what's that training us to think? That's training us to think that it always stays the same. And I think that is an extreme disservice. Now, I'm not like, and now there's the other side of this, which is Albert Einstein had 10 copies of the same suit made because he didn't want to take the time to pick out what suit he was going to wear every morning, so that all of his suits were the same. So that's the flip side to that. But
I love that idea.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
I love Einstein. I wish he was still around so I could go give him a big hug and a kiss on the forehead. So that ultimately is how I feel about journaling. I feel it is an extremely powerful tool. I absolutely agree with Russ. It has a few possible pitfalls, and for the most part, I find it to be an extremely expansive and useful tool. Boggie, go.
Diaries. Well, we'll do this and then we'll finish off. So, diaries. Being dyslexic myself, when I was a kid, actually, because I struggled with writing. So, as a kid, I was actually allowed to do audiobooks. Record a tape and do it. So for schoolwork, when we did exams, I actually did audios. They actually allowed me, not all my teachers, but certain teachers allowed me to do that. So I did for a while had audio books, audio diaries that I recorded. That was easier for me. And I do have diaries of sorts, but they're very intermittent. I always have a diary because doing all the Tai Chi I do and all the lessons, keeping up with work as well, I need a diary. And I've got one diary work. I've got another diary that I do my training in. So I write down my Qigongs and I write down certain things, what I'm doing Qigong wise. And then I have another diary which I do thoughts and feelings, but it's very intermittent. It's one thing that Russ is very, very good at. It's his core. It's one of his very much his core belief, and it's, how do I put it? It's something that I am always aiming towards. I'm not there, nowhere near there. Nowhere near doing it as he's doing it, and I do get that you can look back. The whole point is to be able to look back. And I must admit, in some ways, Progress, and there's my YouTube channel Progress, that will be my diary. That is, in some of the points, some of the ones when I'm just randomly talking will be that point where I am at that point of view. Or how I explain that information. It changes. It does change. I mean, it changes anyway, depending who I'm talking to, because I adapt. When I teach, I always aim to adapt the information to the person. But if you are a writer, if you are somebody who likes that sort of thing, Chris, I think it's something you should definitely do. I would definitely encourage it, and I definitely, like myself, I'm not great at them, but it's always an ongoing process. I don't berate myself, because you should never do that. Don't berate yourself for when you don't do it. Just praise yourself when you do. Try to make it an ongoing process. And if you know, with what Russ has is our open books. They're not a diary. That's why he calls it a journal. He does journals because that way you put the date in and the time in. So if it's 3 days since you last wrote, it doesn't matter. There's not going to be a great big, in a diary, there'll be a great big gap. But if it's a journal which you dictate, then you dictate when you write in it. So the information is put in there when you put, and I do love this idea. He says, he has 2 symbols, the aha moments and that could be a signpost moment. And I do believe it's a really good idea, and I would encourage people to do it. I don't always do it myself, but it's an ongoing process for me, and I do encourage other people to be better than me and to do that.
Okay,
I got one more thing to add. For one of my journals, for my list of accomplishments that I keep every day, and I try to keep every day, if you use oracles, like Viking runes or angel cards or animal spirit cards or anything like that, write those down. If you draw one for that day, write it down and see, because I found it very interesting, because I had that discipline I did it every day for a couple years. And then I actually got in a relationship, and I noticed that my desire to write was lessened because I felt like I had more understanding in my life because I had a partner there to talk to. And so to look at the day, and it's really interesting to look at the day and look at what Viking rune you have. they're generalized, like fertility or strength or wholeness or defense or things along those lines. So to try and you get it can be a great insight to look at the rune you got for that day and to kind of look at the overall way your day progressed and your overall feelings about that day. That was just something I wanted to throw in there because I found it to be very interesting. And notice when you keep getting the same thing in a row. Notice when what?
I'm just going to assume that you guys are good to overrun for a little bit. We've got a few more questions that have come in, and so carry on.
That's a fair assumption. That's basically all that I had to say was like keep track. It's very, very informative and expansive to keep track of anything that you can. If you have health problems, keep a dialogue. Write down everything that you eat. It will help you in the long run because most people who have health problems, it is in some way linked to food. So write down how you feel that day. Like last night I ate a pizza and I feel shitty today. And if that happens every time you eat a pizza, start taking the ingredients off the pizza. Start trying to break it down. You will have the knowledge of the record of, well, every time I eat this, I feel awful. So you can then apply that. You can learn from that. And it's the same if you exercise consistently. Keep a workout journal. Boggie keeps a Qigong journal. Keep a workout journal so that way you can track your progress. Well, 6 months ago, I was doing this exercise with this much weight. Now I'm doing it with this much weight, you know? So you can really learn a lot by studying your past, whether you're studying your exercise regime, your diet, life circumstances, emotional circumstances. You can track your period because men have periods too. We have hormone fluctuations. We're affected by the moon. You can keep track of everything and you can learn so much about yourself because it kind of gives you that outside perspective. You can kind of look at your life 6 months ago, a year ago, from this factual, okay, this is what I ate, this is what I did, this is what I thought. How are these connected? You know? Do I feel better when I do this style of exercise compared to this style? Do I feel better when I eat this food, when I don't eat this food? And so it allows you the ability to look at your life from an outside perspective and recognize the patterns in your life that you wouldn't be able to see otherwise because you would be lost in your day-to-day experience.
Okay.
What are the questions?
Right, okay. Well, I just want to chip in. I am also keeping a diary at the moment, and it's a bit patchy because some days I just don't seem to have the time to actually write out everything. It seems like a very slow process, and wherever I think I'm going to write out, suddenly when the pen starts flowing, it actually changes into something completely different. It's like, what the hell happened there? But
I also recommend video diaries. I think that this is something that I am much more interested in doing is communicating, because we grew up, at least I grew up, you know, where like if you had, and I'm 30, so if you had a video camera when you were growing up, it had a VHS tape that went in the side and all this sort of stuff. That is no longer applicable in our life. That is no longer accurate. So I find myself, Boggie and Chris, well, I'll be trying to type out this long message and I'll be spending 5 minutes working on it and I'll stop halfway through and go, I could have said this in 30 seconds, so I'll make a 30-second video. You can make video diaries of your life. It's not something that I feel is really sunk into a lot of people's consciousness, this new form, because it's so easy to do. You know, if you've got a smartphone, you make videos on your smartphone. Record your diary through video. Use whatever medium you have to, whatever medium is easiest for you. Because I know it takes me a lot longer to write something out than it does.
That is such a good tip. Jordan Allen's come back with a couple more questions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fire both questions off at the same time, and I'm going to suggest whoever wants to answer it go. Right. So the first question is, he says, so self-actualize. So that's where he was talking. That's where you were talking about the diary, Ethan. So I'm not sure if you're able to answer that question for him. And Boggie.
Hello.
The other question, and maybe this is more relevant for you, or possibly Ethan, how would you start Qigong practices today?
Right. Okay. Just do it. And funny enough, I've got a playlist that does just that. Right, look on the Sifu Boggie page. There is a playlist called Just Do It, which simply is all my demos. All demos of different Qigongs. Twist the Waist is given freely. So there's an instructional video you will find for Twist the Waist as well. And Qigong simply means energy exercise, breath work. A exercise that generates breath, generates energy. Because when you breathe, you're generating energy. Simple as that. So anything is a meditation. Meditation simply means focus on one thing, forget everything else. So everything is a meditation, and in the same effect, anything can become. You can turn anything into an exercise. So if you speak to Sifus, that teaches for me, Baz Chilia, we always joke and laugh about doing Shaolin style or Tai Chi style ironing or Tai Chi hoovering, and it's in essence is you take a movement, because the whole principle of Tai Chi is that Tai Chi is generating energy through movement, which is what Qigong is. But the whole principle of both Tai Chi and Qigong is that you turn your actions into, that you just make them into Qigongs. So there's a poem that says, your aim is to turn everything into Qigong, or your aim is to turn everything into Tai Chi. And what they mean is the principles of what Qigong is, which is relaxing the body, allowing the blood to flow, stretching the back, stretching the organs, stretching the limbs, and moving in a very flowing manner. So the movements tend, as you breathe in, you tend to move one way, and as you breathe out, you tend to move another, and you move it with your breathing, match your movements with your breath. That is in essence what Qigong is. So, one simple Qigong I'm going to teach you here and now, holding your hands. I'm holding them up quite quiet, but you can hold them like at belly level. They can be pointed up or they can be pointing forwards, and simply breathe in, expand, breathe out, contract. Breathe in, breathe out. So when you breathe out, just feel, listen. Listening is feeling. So can you feel anything? Is there some sort of tingling? It doesn't matter what you feel, because it's you, it's personal. Breathe in, expand, breathe out. There you go. There's one Qigong. You could do it like that, you could do it like that. It doesn't blooming matter. There you go. Simple exercise, as simple as that. I was always taught that cats and dogs are great Sifus because they sit there staring into space. That's meditation. They wake up in the morning, they stretch. That's their yoga, and then they do these weird movements, or a cat will have a mad half hour. That's their Qigong, or their Shaolin Kung Fu training. Well, their Shaolin Kung Fu training is them stalking in the grass, going to pounce on a mouse or a cat. No, a cat, or another cat, or a mouse, or a bird. So that's Shaolin training. Well, it is. In the Kung Fu, they really did. In both Kung Fu and in Ninjitsu, they really did would give young students a cat and say, look after the cat and it will teach you. And the cat, the hunting was Qigong. Play fighting was its Shaolin training. Its stretching is its yoga. It's sitting there staring into space is its meditation. That cat is teaching you exactly what you need to know. And the same with a dog. A dog does the same thing in a slightly different way, but dogs do the same sort of thing. Technically, it's very natural. It's a very natural thing to do. So, there's a whole list on, if you look on the Sifu Boggie channel, under Just Do It, there is all the demos, and just watch. I mean, I'm on Patreon. You can learn from me from Patreon one-to-one if you really want to. That's cool. That's awesome. I can teach you what you want to learn, and there's different levels. But you can watch the Just Do It videos and just pick it up from the Just Do It videos.
And
do
free.
the Chinese way. Sorry, Chris?
And they're free, so
Yeah.
you don't have to pay anything for those.
Yeah, that's my point. You know, one of my tricks is I give you free demos. I give you the video, and if you really pay attention, you can learn to do that Qigong just by watching the demo. Oh, you know, I'm not a secret monkey ninja. Well, I am, but you know, I'm not going to hide everything from you.
Boggie Brighton, aka Secret
monkey ninja.
So Jordan's come back and said, "Good info, thank you."
Excellent.
Yeah,
Okay.
and as Russ said it, you know, there are tons of videos out there. Type in QIGONG Qigong or CHIKONG Qigong. Two A's are spelling the same word. There are many Qigongs out there. You know, yes, you can go to a class, and yes, it is good at the end to go to a class. But, you know, if you're absolutely broke out there, you know, meditation, sit there, eyes open or eyes closed, breathe. Nothing or focus on one thing. Simple. That's meditation. Yoga or stretching. Arms out as far as you can go, relax your shoulders, stretch. Do the same with your legs. That's a stretch. There is free yoga out there. There are 10 tons of Qigong out there. You know, if that's the path that you need to go, then go it, then do it. But you have to do it. This is the point. Is the reason why people pay, because when they pay, they think they're going to get far more, but all they're getting is somebody doing the same thing as what a video would do. The difference is with a video, you have to pay the attention. You have to focus on that and do that, actually do it. In the class, you get told what you do. We don't get told what to do in my class. I say, do this, but you don't have to do this. But the point is practice. The only way you ever learn anything, it's all very well having 500 videos on Qigong or 600 books on Tai Chi. But unless you actually read them and you actually do them, they're just a book. They're just something to prop up a table or to stop the draft.
Go with the row the boat analogy.
Okay, he likes that one. Yes, there's an old Daoist saying is that Qigong is very much about rowing a boat upstream. Is when you row the boat upstream, but continuously moving forwards. So you're rowing the boat upstream, but as soon as you stop, you don't sit still. The boat will move back. Even on a lake, if you're rowing, it will, and you stop. Yes, it will keep moving at first, but it will slowly get slower and slower until it stops. So the point of the Qigong is an energy exercise. That Qigong will give you a little snippet, a little drop of energy, just like a glass with water. I'm refreshed, but if I leave it too long, I'll get thirsty, so I need to take another sip. So Qigong's the same thing. You keep sipping, you keep rowing the boat. It's daily practice. You only, 15 minutes. 15 minutes out of 24 hours really isn't a lot. So when people say, I don't have time, I'm sure there is 15 minutes in your day you can find. I'm absolutely sure, because I'm sure there's 15 minutes in your day where you're sitting there picking your nose or thinking, what am I going to do next? So you can take that 15 minutes and you can convert it into your Qigong time. So there's daily practice. And also, again, when you're learning something from scratch, when you learn it, am I doing it right? It doesn't matter. Just do it. Because if you don't do it, you'll never learn it. You only learn well, you only learn from your mistakes. You learn through practice. So by practicing, this is what Russ said, at 900 miles an hour, this is what Russ said, is that you need to learn, you need to practice. There's lots of free Qigong out there. There's lots of different Qigongs out there. And some people will say, my Qigong's better than yours, and all that rubbish. It doesn't matter which. Find one that you like, whether it's mine, whether it's Ethan's, whether it's Aunt Mary's, whether it's Bob the Builder's. I don't care as long as you do Qigong. That's what's really important. So find something that you enjoy and practice it. 15 minutes every day, and it will build. I'll guarantee that you'll start off at 15 minutes and you'll get hooked. But you need to practice. Practice is rowing that boat upstream.
It's the same when it comes to exercise. People say, "Oh, you know, what good a shape can you get in going for a half-hour walk?" You have lapped that person on the couch who didn't get up and go for that walk so many times. If you walk for a half hour, you have lapped the hell out of that person. So you can compare yourself to other people and say, "Oh, I didn't work out with this person." What, Boggie?
I was just going to say, and the difference between, you know, like say, well, you know, if somebody goes twice a week to the gym and does 2 hours training, that's good. You know, that's cool. But you'll get far more benefit from doing even 15 minutes every single day than you would from those 2 hours twice a week. Because the 15 minutes a day builds up. It'd be better if you do half an hour, but even 15 minutes a day every single day will build up. So this is the biggest thing I've always done with classes is, come to the class, yes, awesome. But go home and practice. Because so if you're going to go twice a week to the gym and do 2 hours, that's cool. But do a bit of gym work at home, 15 minutes every single day as well. Because then that's it. Then you're even more awesome than you were just doing the 2 hours twice a week or the 15 minutes a day. You know, but it's you want the only way things change is by changing them. The only way you improve is by improving them. The only way you do is by doing them. So, you know, this is what Yoda was saying in 6 short syllables. Don't try. Do, you know, is that you've got to do. It's the doing. Proof of the pudding is the eating, where the proof of the feeling is the doing.
Should we start to wrap it up now, Boggie? Who have we got next week?
Yeah, like a Christmas present. Okay, cool. Right. Okay, so hopefully we've answered all the questions. I don't know if was it Justin?
Jordan.
If Jordan's still there, I will talk about this another time. I will do a video for you. This is my wand from Ra. It's 3 years old now. It's a bit beaten up, but it's still very powerful. It's been boggified. But anyway, so I will talk about that next time. So that was a great show from Russ. It feels like a long time ago now. And there's a couple of people who already texted me they want us to shut up so it can then load up so then they can watch it. So I hope you enjoyed it, guys. Hi Jordan, see you next time, and I will do that video for you soon. And so it's goodbye from Chris.
Goodbye.
It's goodbye from the mighty Ethan.
Bye.
And of course, it was goodbye from the great. Thank you so much from my chi brother Russ, who was obviously on a while ago now. And it's goodbye from me. So take care. We have a show next week. It's a subject show next week, and it's the way of helping people. Very much actually about helping the homeless. We've got a guy coming on, maybe one guy or another, I don't quite know yet, so I can't actually say his name. I don't know which one's going to be, but it's about, especially this time of year, how to help people, help others, especially helping the homeless, especially, you know, during the winter. So that's the show for next week. So take care. Bye from all us three and Russ. love, Qi Chen.